is this why maybe like still a lot of shows are very regressive on TV, and like how I remember Kasauti Zindagi and all the shows that you did back then, they were so progressive. To now we see the shows, we're not able to relate like where does this happen, at least people in the cities. So why is that happening?
But I would give a lot of, reasoning for why those shows are like that. Like I said, is also because, see, television is still penetrating into the interiors. So, say if I made a content in 2000 and today a lot of people say, "Arey, this show looks like that," but my audience is new.
Yeah.
Say 50% of audience, my audience now never had TV back in 2000. They have it now. So they don't care what I made, whether I made Kyuki or Kasauti, and if today some story is repeating itself, it's fine because for them it's fresh content.
Fresh content.
So when you go into the interiors and your audience is B and C, they find it relative.
Right.
They are like, okay, we relate to this happens in our house. So what you may call regressive is something which is probably happening there.
There,
So
okay.
then they start saying, Acha, if my daughter got married and this is the kind of, the treatment which is vetted out to her, how is this character dealing with it? So they kind of start resonating with the character, and probably they find it aspirational also. Oh, she did it like that without, like making the SARS upset. She still started working. Oh, we should probably brief her like that. And you'll be surprised, people actually discuss this, that, okay, she did it. Why don't you do it like this? I mean, we had fashion like that. I mean, I remember Komolika ki bindi and Ramola Sikand ki
Of
sari.
course, I
and
remember
uska.
those days. In fact, we as kids also we used to watch all those shows, you know. So why is there such a strong stereotyping of these characters from then to now? Like it's just been very consistent. A girl who looks hot, is going to be labeled as a Kamalika or a villain, and a girl who looks maybe not very pretty, simple, or she dresses up in Indian wear, she's considered to be a good girl. So why does that happen?
So what you're saying specifically only happens on television
Yeah.
because OTT has changed the grammar.
Absolutely, yeah.
Today, a smart, a hip girl is probably the heroine, and the sari-clad
Yeah.
girl is the villain and probably killing women.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that is a reality that on TV it still remains that, and OTT has managed to flip it. So why it happens like that is probably, see, it's also to do with the exposure and education. So I mean, I don't want to sound condescending in that way, but so you basically dumb it down. So when a lot of people used to tell me, when you're having this villainous character coming, why do you have this kind of music coming? I said, because if say a housewife is probably cutting a vegetable and her back is towards the TV,
Yeah.
and she likes this character, and suddenly that background music comes, she wants to like turn. Or if you have that dung dung dung, or you have that Nasik dole happening, there's drama happening. So if a lady is back inside, teaching her child, probably schooling, and she suddenly realizes, oh, this drama was supposed to come today, drama music is happening, let me run to there. So we used to dumb down a lot for television, and it helped us. Like the stereotypes helped us, because that is the notion what is there in the interior, that a girl who's little smart and chalak looking, she can't be a good housewife. That is the mindset which people have, because a simple girl or a simple housewife presents herself differently.
Right.
So when people had that mindset, we had to play with the characters which were in people's mindset and portray them on screen. That also helped us in a way, because while you're considering that, okay, this is what it is, and slightly used to start giving out messages which broke their stereotype. But had I made it visually like that, they would have been like, क्या बकवास दिखा रहे हैं?
Yeah.
ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है. अरे ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है कि सिंपल साड़ी वाली लड़की जाके कर रही है. Once they started believing that this is it, then you could make your characters do whatever. So I remember in Kasauti, Gitanjali Tikekar comes in, the third wife of Suzanne, and she's a very sweet girl and comes in, and they start falling in love with her. Then when she turns around and she kills, she hates on Komolika and Anurag, that's when people were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She had a reason, so then it became believable. But had I got her in the first instance like that, sitting and plotting, being as a Seedhi Bahu, they would have never believed it.
Right.
But once they were convinced for like 2.5 years, I made the twist, it worked in my favor. So in television, it's stuck to the typical stereotypes, but still I would say from 2000 to now, television changes very slightly, it doesn't change overnight. Because when you do overnight different stuff, it doesn't work. I remember Nikhil Advani doing Prisoners of War, which was a very, very progressive show on Star, but unfortunately it didn't work well.
People don't accept it.
Yeah, because they were like, kya dikha rahe ho? I was associated with 24. I remember the first season I did with Anil Kapoor, and we were so excited because the whole LA team was down. They were teaching us what to make, what to do. But everyone who saw them, they said, "Aap time ke pehle aa gaye. In fact, you should have come now when OTT was there. You should have done 24 now." So there was a lot of debate on when, what should have come. So I realized in my own head, I was trying to put the whole mathematics together, and I realized that television every 10 years changes about 5%. So you have to accept and start doing those changes. So in first 10 years, it changed about 5%. But 11 to 20th year, it changed about 10 to 12%, which was like more, like instead of 5%, it changed 12% more. So it became 17%. So television audience is also taking change, but slowly, slowly, slowly. In fact, what has happened is OTT has kind of adapted the TV. So if you see in OTT now, they have long format shows. So instead of having 10 episoders, now they have 100 episoders. In fact, all the channels are doing 100 episoders. Hotstar is doing, and Amazon is moving into mini. So people do understand that people, once they love the characters, they want to see them for longer time. They want to have that habit of coming back onto the show. Every time you start a new show, fine, they will go on to it, but they miss those characters. So if you see the older
Hence
shows,
the stretched storyline in every show.
on television, yes. Television, of course, thrived on that. I remember Kyuki, we kept getting an extension, and we must have got like 5 extensions, and we survived like
With
for
a lot of cliffhangers in the show.
yeah, and we moved like 4 generations, so it was almost like Tulsi had become Ba's age, and she had 3 generations thereafter. So that always works. Once your characters have clicked, you can do whatever with them, and people are convinced. I mean, I remember people asking me, "Is Ba like 230 years old?" And I said, "Yeah, she is." But she's working for me. I want. I remember when we wanted to kill her. There was a track when we wanted to kill her. There were women for Gujarat who were like 90 years old crying. So I remember when Mihir died in my show, there was a woman who died of a heart attack in Gujarat. So things like that television was doing. So it was such a huge influence. You could not show anything which was wrong and unbelievable and have people hate us. I remember Mihir died and he was dead for a while. There were morchas outside Balaji building. They were coming and abusing us. Kaise maar diya? Kya ho gaya? And we had to bring him back a month earlier.